What's up, everyone? We are back. It's Coach AB here alongside my co-host. Well, my name is Anthony Bevilacqua. Alongside my co-host, Tom Merck. I just get so excited to say Tom Merck that I forgot my own name. But what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on? I think that sounds like the guy. I think it's I don't know anything about wrestling. Let's get ready to rumble. That's what it reminds me of. That's what it reminds me of.
That guy was in a movie I watched recently. It was I think it was actually it might have been a commercial, but
Yeah, I saw that.
he does that voice everywhere.
Like the garlic knots and stuff. Yeah, that was funny.
That
That
was
was
a
a good
good
one.
commercial. I was like, but having a voice like that, you have to do that
I know.
everywhere. I feel like you
I
have to
know.
do that, a must. But today, I want to cover a really, really cool topic. Right now, as we record this, it's January 2020, and everybody's setting that New Year's resolution of burning more fat. So, figured we'd give them the fat loss blueprint and basically our 8 steps to getting people in good shape and helping people to lose more body fat.
I'm
So
ready for it.
should be pretty exciting today. So if you're interested in burning fat, this is the episode that you need. But before we get started, if you're interested in taking yourself to the next level, you could just head on over to abfitnesscenter.com and just scroll all the way to the bottom and just apply for a spot for coaching, and we can help you. Doesn't matter if you're local or not local, we can help you. So let's get this show on the road. The Fat Loss Blueprint. Step number 1. You need to be in a calorie deficit. Now, we've talked about this in other podcasts and other episodes before. I've mentioned it several thousand times on this channel at this point. You can't lose weight from hopes and dreams. It's not going to happen. You can't pray for it to happen. You need to be in a calorie deficit. A lot of people just don't think that that actually exists. They don't think it's a calories deficit is what's going to do it, but it is. So it doesn't matter if you follow keto, if you follow intermittent fasting, or you follow, I don't even know what the other fad diets are anymore, but the way all diets work, because they put you in a calorie deficit. So if you're normally eating 3,000 calories every day, and now you eat 2,500 calories every day, you are in a 500 calorie deficit. That's essentially how you make a calorie deficit, but that is the basics for fat loss. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you are not going to lose any fat. So just because you're doing keto or whatever it is, keto, intermittent fasting, whatever the diet of choice is, if you're not eating less calories than your body is putting out, then you are not going to lose fat. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head pretty well there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we hear it all the time. It's like, oh, I'm not losing weight anymore. Well, it's because you just went from, all right, you went on keto and that's fine. And you lost a little bit of weight in the beginning, but now you're replacing all those extra calories with, oil and other fats or whatever, and you're not in a
Yeah.
calorie deficit anymore. And I was
Yeah.
actually talking to one of our clients today, actually, in text message, and she was sending pictures of her food to me. So looking at her food, and her food looks like, I mean, obviously from the start of her journey to now, it's obviously completely different what's on her plate. But it's like people still get confused on certain things. And one of the things she was still confused on is like, so she had like she had 2 servings of protein. She had like some chicken, I don't know what it was, some chicken, and then I think it was like shrimp or whatever on like the other side. And in the middle was shrimp, spinach. So it was in the middle, but it looked so shiny to me. So I'm like, there's oil on that. So I said, what's on the spinach? What's in the middle? I was playing stupid. I said, what's in the middle? So she said, oh, it's, she's telling me it's chicken on this side. And like, she's avoiding the question because she knows where I'm going with this. So I said, well, okay, well, what's in the middle? She goes, that's spinach. And then stops texting. So I said, well, what's on the spinach? She goes, well, my husband put a little bit of oil. And it's like huge red flag, especially if you're telling me you can't lose weight. Like, I can't lose weight on the scale. Well, you can't lose weight on the scale because you're not entering that calorie deficit. And just because you're adding oil, think about it. And this probably had like 2 or 3 tablespoons on it. Like it was a serving
Yeah.
of spinach, probably like 3 servings of spinach, and
A
it probably
lot.
had 2 to 3 servings of oil on it. So it's like, well, you're not losing weight because there's an extra 500 calories in that meal of just fat alone. And most
And
people,
not to mention, spinach is like literally like 10 calories. That is going up 500+% if you
Right.
think about it. You know,
And
it's a lot.
that's where most people get confused. It's like, well, I'm eating my vegetables, and obviously, like I said, like her meals look drastically different. In the beginning, it was just a bunch of like junk, and now it's actually like a balanced meal because there's protein, there's vegetables on it, whatever. But there's extra 500 calories on that plate because you're adding oil to your food. So again, it doesn't matter if it's healthy or unhealthy. If you're going over your calorie limit for the day, done.
Yeah. I
Right.
think what I hear sometimes too is that oil makes food taste better. And unless you're using like novelty oils, like, I mean, I would even say avocado oil is a little bit of a stretch, but maybe coconut oil and like red palm oil and things like that, which give you like very, very little amounts of flavor. Oil is pretty much just like flavorless, really. It just cooks the food differently. It creates a different texture or it creates a different cooking process. You could probably like simulate that doing something else with no calories or very little calories. But that's something else that I hear too. Like, oh, it makes the food taste better. I don't really think that I would disagree with that.
Yeah, but I also think too it makes a mess.
Oh
It's one
yeah.
of those things, too. It makes a mess, and I don't get it because like I never use oil in my cooking, like ever, ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever. It's like one of my rules, like just don't use oil when you
Mhm.
cook. Like I'll add it on after the fact because I can measure it, or if I'm trying to get more calories in, I could just all right. Here's 2 tablespoons of oil, and it's an extra fucking 30 grams of fat. But I never, ever, ever cook with it. And like sometimes when I'm really in like a really big surplus and I'm trying to gain a bunch of weight, I'll start cooking with it because it just makes it easier and you don't taste it. But it's like
Yeah.
it makes a mess. Oil goes everywhere, and it doesn't matter what kind of oil you use. So when people say that, I'm like, it doesn't really. I don't taste the difference with the food. If you're cooking with butter, that's different. You definitely taste the butter, and the
Yeah.
butter definitely makes a difference. But like the oil, I don't think it makes a difference at all.
Yeah.
Why?
I actually I just got it's like a low sodium butter with like flaxseed oil or something like that. It's supposed to have omega-3s in it. And for 14 grams of it, which is half of a tablespoon, I guess, there's only 5 grams of fat, which I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And it gives you like a decent amount of flavor. So you could also go with like different fat sources to make sure that you're not just pummeling on all the fat you could think about. Like if you compare like pistachio nuts to macadamia, macadamia is going to have a lot more fat per 30 grams than pistachio is, or you'll get more pistachios than you would macadamia. So you could pick and choose, you know?
It's funny because I was talking about this with another client today. I had like a client call. We usually call all our clients and talk to them pretty regularly to see what they need help on and what they're working with, what they need help on, like whatever's going on. But we were just talking in general just about like getting in protein, which is one of the things you could probably jump to it. So the blueprint, fat loss blueprint. Tip number 2 is making sure you're eating plenty of protein and vegetables. So going into what I was just talking about, we were talking about how you can't accidentally hit your protein intake. Like it just doesn't happen with the way the Western diet is. It's almost impossible to hit your protein that you need. You need to actively be trying to hit your protein intake in order to
Yeah.
do it. It's not easy. But like the normal diet, most people think like, oh, my diet's so high in carbs. And I like to say bull crap on that because it's not even the carbs that's high on these Western diets. It's the fat. Like on days where, like again, holidays were here, I still track everything that I eat, but sometimes I'll go over my numbers. And all the times that I go over my numbers, but I still track it, my fat intake is always through the roof. It's just the way it goes because everything that you eat is
Yeah.
like fried or this or that. So people blame carbs for everything, and it's not the carbs. It's usually the high intake of fat. So I
Yeah.
kind of
That's
blended
pretty dense too.
what we were just talking about. But yeah, in the fat loss blueprint, step number 2 is making sure you're eating more protein and more vegetables. So Tom, why don't you beat this one up? I feel like I've been talking too much today.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly where I got these like I guess references from, but most people, I guess you could say like in America really are deficient in like a few things. Like a few things they're like grossly under getting in their day. And aside from like sunlight and sleep, more of those things are protein intake. So they're severely under eating their protein. We're talking about like 150 to like 250-pound adults getting in like 30 to 60 grams of protein a day, which
Yeah.
like realistically, I'm not even kidding. My dog is probably getting in that much from his dog food. But like the point is that like they're getting in so much less than they actually need. And it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, but if they focus their energy on protein, it would help really cover like first base for them. And then you have the other things like they're grossly underhydrated. They're usually dehydrated on a day-to-day basis. And then you have things like omega-3 fatty acids and stuff, but you can even get those in with good protein sources like salmon and other fish and things like that. But protein is one of those like really important foods where if you don't look at anything else and you just look at protein, like I'm talking chicken breast or protein powder, or
Yeah,
even like
lean sources of protein. That's probably what we should preference this.
yeah,
Eat
lean
sources.
sources of protein. Or you're looking at like some kind of like fish or even like a vegetarian or a vegan option. Protein is going to help you like feel more full than any other macronutrient. So protein gives you this much fullness compared to carbs and then compared to fats, or these might be a little bit more preference based, but protein is going to give you a lot more food, a lot more filling feeling for the food. So if your goal is to lose fat and lose weight, why not start with protein? And then you could go to something like vegetables, which is also very filling. They're very low calories, and it also has a lot of fiber. So those two in itself, when you pair those two, you already have like a very, very solid meal for fat loss. And even if you want to fight hunger or fight cravings, it might not be the most practical thing to do to say, hey, go cook some chicken and broccoli, or go, cook whatever, a protein and a vegetable source when you're having cravings. But if you're having cravings, that's one thing. If you're really hungry, that's another thing. You could start addressing your hunger by putting some good things on your plate and helping you stay full longer throughout the day than just, the next 20 minutes or so.
Right, right. And again, the other benefit of protein, like Tom mentioned, is going to keep you fuller longer. But
Yeah.
also, our goal with all this is to change the way your body looks. And the only way to change the way your body looks is by putting on muscle. And
Yeah.
protein, having a higher protein intake helps with building muscle, because protein is one of the essential, things that has all the amino acids or the building blocks of muscle in it. So you need to make sure you're eating adequate amounts of protein in order to build muscle, which will change your physique. And besides the fact that when you have protein, when your protein intake is higher, you're going to be burning off more of those calories that you're eating. So you get like a fat burning effect from the food that you're eating. So for example, 100 calories of straight protein, you burn off about 30% of those in digestion alone. So right away, 30% of those calories that you consumed are gone. They just need to get off with that. Whereas with carbs, it's around 10% and fats around 1%. So this is like a double whammy to what I was talking about earlier, and why people nowadays have such a hard time losing weight, because their fat intake is so high and they're not burning any calories from the things that they're eating. So this is why it's been shown time and time again that higher protein diets just flat out work when it comes to changing your body composition.
I would like to add too, if anybody doesn't know this, this is going to be like, I guess eye-opening. But when you go on a diet, your body will literally start to lose fat, and it will also start to lose muscle. Okay, so muscle will be the thing that goes along with the fat as well. Okay, so you don't want muscle to go off your body, because then you become a less muscular, less leaner individual, and you become just somebody who's weak, essentially. You don't want to be weak, and you don't want to be fat. So the two things you could do is focus on getting protein in to make sure that the muscle has the resources available to repair it and then grow it. And then the second thing, I'm sure you'll hear us say, it's probably a point, is strength training. Strength training gives your body a reason.
Stop talking. Stop talking. Don't jump ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Don't start that, man.
Okay, I'll save that for the point.
That's why I got rid of the last co-host, because he kept jumping ahead.
Oh
So
man.
I don't want
I'm
to
doing this
block.
off the fly too. I don't know any of these points, guys. I'm just going, with whatever knowledge I have.
All right,
We'll save that for the next one.
And there's a method to my madness. That's why I don't give them the notes, because I like when people talk, because they're just showing their expertise. So number 3, don't, and I love this because most people tell you to do this, but don't eliminate the foods that you love. Every time, I think since I've been doing this a lot of years now, at least 20 years at this point, and since the beginning of me being a trainer and helping people coach them, they always say the same things to me. I really got to cut out this. Or I know I just got to stop eating cake or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
usually like sugar, dairy, and
Yeah,
fat.
they're
That's like the
demonizing
big three.
some food, right?
Yeah.
They're demonizing some food. But we are here to tell you to not go by that information, to not eliminate anything from your diet. And the reason is because when you focus on being in a calorie deficit, your body doesn't know the difference between the foods. It's not like if you have whatever, a bagel right now, your body's going to say, oh boy, Tom Merck, he's eating a bagel. That's it. Put in the love handles. It doesn't work like that at all. Your body just sees calories, protein, carbs, fats, vitamins, minerals. It doesn't see what you eat. It just sees the amounts. So if you love bagels or whatever it is, eat the bagel. Just factor it into the total of the day. So for example, going back to what I was talking about earlier with the client with the spinach and the oil or whatever, she mentioned and she showed me her whole day of eating, and then she showed me like a little bowl of ice cream, and she goes, I was so good the whole day, but I messed up with the ice cream. So after I explained to her what happened with the oil, I said, you didn't mess up with the ice cream because that ice cream is probably 200 calories. You messed up with the oil, which was like 500-600 calories. So again, it goes back to people demonizing certain foods and thinking that certain foods are worse or better than the other. And olive oil is very healthy for you. Ice cream is technically not healthy for you. But in this scenario, calorie-wise, the ice cream only takes up a certain percentage of the day, whereas the oil is taking up a bigger percentage of her day. So don't eliminate the foods that you love. If you like ice cream, you can have ice cream. You just have to factor it in. And again, I did another episode on here with one of our other clients. His name is Mike. He's 65 years old, and he managed to lose over 40 pounds within a year. But he still eats things that you wouldn't normally, like he was mentioning during the holidays, he was having lasagna and this and that, but he was factoring those things into his daily day. But this allows him to not feel like he's dieting. And that's the goal, is you don't want to feel like you're on a diet. Because if I was coaching Tom Merck and I told Tom, this is the diet you're going to be following, but you're never going to have cereal ever again. That's it. Kiss the cereal goodbye. What is Tom going to want right now? Cereal. Instantly. Even though Tom's a really dedicated guy and he could probably follow that for an extended period of time, he'll say at some point down the road, Anthony's not looking, and he's going to have a big ass bowl of Lucky Charms, and that's going to be it. So this is why you should never, ever, ever aim to eliminate anything from your diet, because your body doesn't know the difference, and it's going to allow you to adhere to it long term, which is what we want.
Yeah, for the record, I'm definitely a Reese's Puffs guy. Definitely not.
Oh, that's good.
Just want to
cereal.
throw that out there for any of the listeners and the viewers.
There's a lot of fat.
Reese's Puffs. What's up?
A lot of fat in that cereal.
Hey, you got to save some room for it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
It's funny because I like cereal. I happen to really like cereal, but I look at cereal as almost like a supplement. Like I have my protein, I have my creatine, I have my vitamins, my fish oil, and then I have like my carbs. And my carbs, like my supplements of carbs, is cereal. So it's just, that's the way I look at cereal. I don't really look at cereal as a food. I look at it as a supplement. Like it's perfect post-workout. Cereal is actually a really, really good food to eat because it's fortified with a lot of vitamins and minerals. So it's basically a multivitamin with carbs. It's essentially how cereal is. But yeah, going back to my point is that you should never, ever, ever eliminate a food source. I mean, I know you agree with me, Tom, but anything you want to add?
Sure. I'll play devil's advocate here. A caveat of that is, what if there is a food? Is there any food you should eliminate? And it's not specifically a food. Don't think Pop-Tarts or cereal or ice cream. Think of what can I eat or what do I eat and have the least self-control over? Why do I eat this food and have no ability to stop eating it? That's what I would define as like a red light food. It's like a trigger food, really. Like you should probably eliminate your trigger foods or make them, non-existent in your household or very, very difficult to get to. Because if you eat one piece, what's another really good trigger food for me is Malamars. They are just so good. If I have one of them, I'm like, damn, that box is like looking me straight in the soul right now. So I never buy Malamars, but my parents love Malamars. And who doesn't? Like, they're just so good. So when they buy them, I'll know because my mom will be like, hey, Malamars are on sale. So I got 50 boxes. So I'll take the boxes and I'll put it behind everything in the pantry so that if I ever have to go into like their pantry, I'll just be like, okay, I don't see it. I don't think about it. I'll just, grab this and go, but foods you have very little self-control over, try to eliminate those individually, not necessarily like, ice cream, unless ice cream's a trigger food. That's like the real only caveat to that point.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but there's a difference between eliminating and keep out of sight, out of mind. That's two
Yeah.
different things, right? Like, so for
Yeah.
me, we talked about this so many times, like Doritos. Like, I can't sit down and have like, if I have Doritos in my house, I have to have like 4 servings of Doritos. And it's the same thing with you with the Malamars. But if I told you, Tom, don't touch the Malamars anymore, you're going to be more tempted to do that. So like,
Yeah.
I have to build up my willpower against the Doritos. But if the Doritos are there, I can still have them. I can still factor them in. Same thing, like if you went into your drawer and you said, okay, this is my total weakness. The Malamars are here. I'm going to have 3 servings of it. But then you just eat around it. Whereas if I told you, like, Tom, don't touch those, you're looking at them now, you're like, shit. And you have them. Now you're like, oh, I cheated. That's it. Like the day's ruined. Whereas
it's very like personal preference based. If you can't handle it, then just, don't bring them in your home. If you think you want to give it a shot, experiment with it. You got to try and see, you're your own personal like experience. So like try and do your best with whatever it is. And you just got to learn from it,
The other thing goes too, Tom, like I go to my mom's house, and my mom's birthday is always around Super Bowl. So we always have like a Super Bowl party at my mom's house, and my mom buys Doritos and puts them out because she knows I love them. So it's like now
what flavor though?
Oh, the regular nacho.
Okay.
So I like one of those weird. I'm a Cool Ranch guy. Like Cool Ranch, I could avoid. That's pretty. But like
he's like sponsor me Doritos.
Yeah, please. The spicy nacho and like the regular one are so good. Even like the purple bag, I don't know what that is. That's good too. But yeah, the purple bag's good. Yeah, Doritos, if you're listening and looking for a sponsor, if you're looking to try to get a trainer fat, this is who you sponsor right here.
Oh man.
But now I lost my point. What was I trying to say? Oh, so when I go to my mom's house for Super Bowl and she puts the Doritos out, now they're there. Now I'm going to be even more tempted to have them. But if I have a system of eating, I can factor those in without having to worry about like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to eat that. And then my mom would get upset and she'd be like, oh, you're not eating. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? And for anyone who lives in an Italian household, that's what you deal with. So that's just, it is what it is. And like over 20 years at this point of doing this, and my mom still questions, why are you still dieting? I'm not dieting, but it's just like, well, I'm paying attention to my nutrition. Yeah, exactly. All right, number 4, and this is going back to what you snuck up and told everybody already, but you need to make sure you're lifting weights 2 to 5 times a week. I can't even begin to stress how important weight training is to changing your body. Look, if you want to change your body, you need to think and become a bodybuilder. Okay, and what does a bodybuilder do to change and sculpt their physique? And women listening to this too, you're a bodybuilder, whether you like it or not, and you hate that term. But bodybuilders say, okay, I want to change the shape of my body. So what do? They work out to change the shape of their body. They don't say, oh, I need to, develop my shoulders a little bit more, so I'm going to go do cardio. They don't do that. They focus on lifting weights. And again, building more muscle will speed up your metabolism. And we talked about that so many times, beat that to death. But you need to start thinking like a bodybuilder if your goal is to change the way your body looks. You don't like the way your arms look. You don't like the way the bat wings or whatever they call it, like the back fat. You don't like the way that looks. Well, you better start getting to rowing.
Yeah, build it differently.
Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, going back to my point, I think most people want, I've actually been hearing this a lot lately. Most people want a more muscular body, or they want a less fat body, which means that there's a decent amount of muscle on their body and less fat, right? More muscular, less fat body. So if you want that, one of the things you're going to have to do is make sure that muscle stays on your body, because if muscle leaves your body, what is actually giving you the curves, or, for the ladies, the curves Or, for the guys, what's giving you like the peaks and the valleys of your biceps, or giving you big delts and big legs aside from muscle? Really nothing. Muscle is like kind of like the road work to your body, So going back to protein helps repair and build muscle. So protein's really important for keeping muscle on your body. And then weight training or resistance training, that is going to basically tell your body. If I was talking to Anthony and I said, Ant, I need you to give me fat and muscle. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to become smaller. I want fat and muscle. And then you were basically saying, okay, here, take the fat. And then you were like, wait a minute. I need the muscle because this job that I'm doing back here requires all the muscle I have. So don't take that. Just take the fat. That's basically what's going on, hypothetically in your body. Your body,
man.
What? That was a pretty good one, right?
That was some analogy.
It's like, I can think of other ones, but it's basically saying, hey, don't get rid of this stuff. We are utilizing it. Don't take it. We're gonna keep it here. That's exactly what weight training does for your body. It tells your body that you need muscle. It's still being used. Don't take it. You're not gonna take it. Take fat until there's nothing left, or almost, hypothetically nothing left, and then you have, all this muscle on your body, or more muscle on your body, and you look better and you feel better.
Yeah. Well, I think this kind of ties into number 5, which is basically, hitting a step goal every day. You should aim to hit, if you're looking to lose fat, aim to hit around 8 to 10,000 steps every day. Just kind of the way it goes. But I think I'm going to tie these two together, because most people listening to this are like, I just want to lose the fat, so I don't got to work out. I'll just do a bunch of cardio. And it's like, that's the wrong way to look at it, for the way that Tom said it. But also in what we're saying, we're not saying that you shouldn't be active. We're not saying that you shouldn't go for walks a couple times a day and being active and hitting step goals, in order to lose body fat. Like, for sure you need to be. But the base of it needs to be your weight training. Like, you need to be working out with weights. There's no way around that. Because again, that's what's going to change your body in the fastest amount of time possible. And like I said, I know a lot of people who, I just want to lose weight, so I'm just going to do a bunch of cardio. I'm going to lose weight first and then work out and build up after. And it's like,
I hear that so much.
The wrong mentality to have. Once you lose that muscle, it's not that easy for it to come back on.
Fix that statement. Once I lose this muscle, I'll go back and start building muscle. That's really what you're saying. You're saying, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to only lose this muscle, and then I'll go build muscle later. You're not going to take any fat off. You might take some, but man, the amount of muscle that's susceptible for like removal, especially when there's no weight training, cardio does not put a reasonable amount of like training effect on your body to keep muscle and grow muscle. Cardio is doing like unless we're talking like higher level conditioning, definitely like it's not doing the same as like compound exercises or a hack squat. And we're not saying don't ride your bike, don't walk your dog. We're saying, play your sport, do your hobby, but get into the gym and lift some weights so that everything else gets better. If you like playing a sport, or you like running or whatever it may be, weight training is going to help every single aspect, every corner of your life. So start with that as a focus, and then go do those things you love to do.
I want to just tell a quick story. When I was competing in bodybuilding, someone told me this, and I was like, that's really smart. And it really changed my whole mindset on all of this. So initially, when I was trying to do bodybuilding, obviously the goal of bodybuilding is to be as lean as possible. So the stigma for bodybuilders is you have to do literally an hour of cardio every day. And then when you get close to the competition, you're doing up to 2 hours a day. And again, me and Tom come from the same gym. So in that gym, a lot of the guys are IFBB pros, and that's just what they do. It's just part of their routine. So on this routine, and I was talking to somebody, and they're like, well, you're competing in bodybuilding, but you're doing a lot of cardio. And I'm like, I am doing a lot of cardio, but I need to get into shape. And they're like, well, if you're doing so much cardio, it's almost like you're becoming a runner, not a bodybuilder. And boom, that's when it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm trying to be a better bodybuilder, so I need to be doing things that bodybuilders do, not doing the opposite of what they're doing. I'm not a runner. I'm not trying to become a runner. And then instantly that changed my whole mindset around cardio. And and I put this into the best analogy when it comes to sports. Like, if Tom came to me and he said, Anthony, I want you to help me get better at shooting free throws. Okay. So Tom, we're going to go work on three-pointers. It's like, it doesn't make sense. A three-pointer does not teach you how to shoot a free point. In order to be better at the foul line, you have to shoot free throws. So you have to practice shooting free throws. You can't practice shooting threes or dunking. That's not going to solve the problem. And it's the same thing when it comes to changing your body composition. If you want to change the way your body looks, you need to do the things that people who change the way their body looks do. And cardio is a part of that, but if you're doing more cardio than you are weight training, you need to look at that balance and shift it the other way and watch what happens. Because your body will change dramatically when you make that shift and do less cardio and more weight training. So that was step number 5. Step number 6 in our fat loss blueprint: aim to get 1% better every single day. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about, what I've always talked to you. Watch every video on this channel. You understand exactly what I'm talking about here. But you have to build habits in order to keep this stuff going forever. You can't just say, okay, I want to get in shape for this wedding that I'm going to, so I'm just going to diet really hard for 8 weeks and then I'm done. You know, it's even when you're done, you're never done. You're still then you're going to put on more fat. It's like a whole vicious cycle. So you need to make sure that whatever you're doing, you can see yourself doing this for the long haul. And this is why we recommend focusing on building habits like what we're talking about, understanding protein, carbs, fats, how much of this, how much of that, working out. Because doing this every day and aiming to get a little bit better every day will yield incremental results years from now. And that's the goal, right? The goal is not just to, I'm going to look great for 6 weeks and then that's it. The goal is I want to look better this year and I want to look even better next year. That's the goal. That's the way you have to look at it. But the only way you can do that is by getting a little bit better every day.
Yeah. It's also a realistic approach too. Like, sometimes people will be like, I really screwed up my water this week. I'm only drinking like 2 cups of water a day, which is definitely not a lot. As a coach, it's not going to be responsible for us to say, all right, well, tomorrow you need to get a gallon. That is like, to that person, it's like we're drowning them, as Anthony sips his like 500-ounce bottle. But to that person, it's like, you want me to get a gallon? I got 16 ounces today. Like, what the hell are you talking about? So if you just work on getting a little bit better every day, it takes that giant goal of yours, a giant, big goal, and says, all right, I'm going to just boil it down to little stepping stones. And tomorrow I'm going to get in, maybe 32 ounces and then 38 and then so on and so forth. And then every little achievement you get, you're like, okay, I am continuously winning little by little. I'm doing something to work towards my goal. If you want to get really sciencey, it gives you a little dopamine hit whenever you do something well that isn't necessarily the biggest goal, right? It's I'm on the path to success or to my goal and my results by doing these little things every day. And that's the same thing with nutrition. I'm going to hit my portions today. I'm going to hit my calories or my macros today. I'm going to drink water today, and then little by little, you're going to say, okay, from doing these little things every day, I could look back at it in a month and say, I've actually lost 6 pounds this month. And it helps you just break up your giant goal into little practical, actionable steps per day to get there. That's really, simply putting it what it is.
And then I'm going to roll right into step number 7 here, which is be patient. I can't even begin to, this is why these get coupled together instantly, because people just they're so used to what they see on TV. I watched The Biggest Loser. Those guys dropped 30 pounds in a week. It's like, yeah, well, they're also 500 pounds. And for them to drop 30 pounds is a small percentage of their total body weight. Whereas if you're 150 pounds and you want to get to 120, I don't know, 130, whatever the number is, that's a bigger percentage of your weight. And it's like most people forget that. So you have to have patience with this. Because again, remember, the goal is to be able to do this long term, not to do it for 6 weeks and then stop. So you have to have patience and you remember okay, the work that I'm putting in now is going to benefit me not only tomorrow, but a year later. One of the things, and I've always wished that we were able to track this, but how many calories did I avoid having by focusing on my nutrition? How many pounds did I not put on my physique because I monitor my nutrition? And I'm sure if most people look at that and you say, okay, well, normally I would have 5,000 calories every day, but really I'm having 3,000 now. That's extra 2,000 calories every day. That equals let's say 5 pounds a week that I would be putting on if I wasn't keeping track of it. Again, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I'm horrible at math. So, but you get my point, right? Like, you need to be able to stay patient with this and focus long term and not get caught up in what you see on TV or on YouTube or Instagram or this or that, because everybody loses at their own pace. And the only real competition you have is that person in the mirror. And until you realize that and start focusing on that person in the mirror, then that's when you're going to start to really, really make the best strides. It's like I can't compare myself to Tom, and Tom can't compare himself to me because our bodies are literally different. We lose at different rates, or we gain muscle at different rates, or gain strength at different rates. So it's like there's no reason for me to compare myself to Tom or Tom to compare himself to me, because the only person I'm competing with is the person in the mirror. So that's why you need to be patient and just focus on being 1% better every day. A little bit of a tangent, but it just kind of drives me nuts when people say like, I'm not at my goal yet. It's like, it's okay. You're better than you were yesterday, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people too, they not emotionally, but like impulsively start changing things. Like they'll hit a plateau for like, maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks of doing really consistent work and hitting a plateau is a good sign. It means that something's going to change, but your body needs more of what you're doing to elicit that change. So just be patient, like stick it out. There's a threshold. And once you hit that threshold, you're going to get that result you're looking for. And then it's going to go back and do it again. It just takes, it's all about like, taking time and not rushing the process. Start to identify some trends, start to identify some tips and tricks you could do to get around certain things. And then, be patient. That's really what it is.
And number 8, which also ties into these three. These last three should have just been grouped together and been one big point, but whatever. It just makes it more of a cool video, the 8 steps to fat loss. But whatever. Number 8 is don't quit. Again, this stuff takes time and you need to be doing it long haul, because again, this is your health. This is your body, your fitness, your life. You only get one chance at this. I mean, every day that passes is one day that you're not getting back. And you need to be able to take care of your body along that way so you can live happily, healthily, years later. That's the beautiful part of fitness, is it gives you that kind of new lease on life when you really, really focus on it. So again, having that short, and we get this all the time. People sign up. I'm just going to do 8 weeks. I'm just going to sign up with you guys and do 8 weeks. And then, 8 weeks comes and they're like, okay, I'm done. I did my 8 weeks. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do now? And then they're like, well, I did what I really wanted to just do 8 weeks. Well, are you going to continue working out now? It's like, it just goes all out the window. And again, whether you like it or not, your body's tracking calories that you're eating. So whether you want to pay attention to it or not, you're going to be, you need to, it's just something that's going to happen anyway. So yeah, don't quit. Don't quit. Stay with this long term. It's going to get frustrating at some points. There's going to be points where you want to stop and you get sick of food. And I mean, I've been doing this a long time. Like, I can't sit here and say like, I don't get sick of chicken sometimes, or I don't feel like tracking today, or I just feel like eating a burger or whatever it is. Like, it happens. It's normal. But I don't quit, and either I give into those cravings or I don't give into those cravings. It just depends on my mood. But I just realized like, okay, it's going to have some days where I'm good, some days where I'm bad. And I just, as long as I'm moving in the right direction and I beat the person in the mirror, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I think we all have like an obligation to like put ourselves first in some facet, and nobody else is going to do the work for you, so it's you giving you putting your best foot forward, or you just staying where you are, stepping back and whatnot. But whatever you're doing, just keep going forward. The only way you'll succeed is by even failing. If you keep failing and learning, you'll eventually start failing smarter. You'll be mindful. You'll start winning more, and then you'll just keep failing in the right direction or winning in the right direction. And then you start to succeed. We've been doing this for quite a while. There's lots of failures. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I made a lot of them myself. I guess that's how I got to the point that I've had, is just like making a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of things wrong. And the best is like that. And again, I tell the story a lot. It's like when I first started competing, and one of my friends was a bodybuilder, and he was kind of helping me, and he's telling me to eat sweet potato, and I'm like, well, why do I have to have sweet potato? Why sweet potato? It's like, is there something magic? You just have to have a sweet potato. I'm like, I can't have rice? No. And then it's just like that led me to, okay, why? And that led me to studying nutrition. And then again, time fast forward and here I am today. But it's just like, it just goes to show like you have to kind of make mistakes and you're gonna, and you can't beat yourself up about it. And I know like I've made mistakes before and I'm like, damn man, I can't believe I didn't know that. I wasted, whatever, 5 weeks doing this that I could have, if I would have known it, I wouldn't have wasted 5 weeks. But it's not a waste because once you realize you made a mistake, then you're never going to go back. Like somebody listening to this, maybe they did keto and it messed them up. And then now they know, okay, I'll never follow something that's not balanced, because now they learn from that mistake. So, part of, the failure is part of everything, but as long as you don't quit and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you're going to get there. And most people too that, some people have an uphill battle when it comes to their genetics. Some people just genetically are more predispositioned to put body fat on. It's just the way it
that's me.
goes. And, but again, okay, if it is you, Tom, and I wasn't saying that it was you, but if it is you, right? If you're the person that like I'm talking to right now, how do you combat that? Well, whining about it is not going to change it, right? It's, the more you complain like, oh, my genetics suck. I just keep putting on fat. No, what do? Every day you fight the good fight. You avoid the Malamars, and then here you are. You go on to live another day. But it's the same thing. It's just you can't feel bad for yourself. You can't quit. Just got to stay consistent, and that's it. So let's summarize these 8 points for fat loss. Number 1, create a calorie deficit. Make sure you're eating less calories. Number 2, make sure you're eating more protein and vegetables. Number 3, don't eliminate the foods that you love. Fit them in. Number 4, lift weights 2 to 5 times a week. Number 5, hit your daily steps, about 8 to 10,000. Number 6, aim to get 1% better every day. Number 7, stay patient. And number 8, don't quit. So that's that. I think we put a nice bow on that, Tom Merck. But guys, if you're interested in taking yourself to the next level, just click the link in the description below if you want to support us and pick up any of our books or anything like that. And until the next time, Tom Merck, Coach AB, and we are out.